What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC London. We have Tom Aspinall going against Curtis Blaydes.
I need all the wins, yeah. All that and all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out.
And we are back for another full card breakdown and prediction video this week, breaking down an absolute banger of a card. This is a card that I've had circled for months. This card is just going to be so much fun. It's not even a pay-per-view. It feels like a pay-per-view, which is crazy. Stacked just really top to bottom. 14 fights on the card as well. Definitely looking forward to it. And since this is such a big card, and since it does feel like a pay-per-view, I am going to be doing a contest for this week, the Significant Strike contest for the main event. To enter that contest, first, leave a like on the video. Second, subscribe to the channel if you are not already. And then third, comment down how many Significant Strikes you think that Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blaydes are going to combine for. $25 to first, whoever does get the closest. And if there is a tie, the tiebreaker does go to the person that did comment first. So I'm doing a contest this week, and I'll do one for the pay-per-view next week as well. But this definitely does feel like a pay-per-view, and honestly, this card is better than UFC 277 next week by a mile, in my opinion. So we are definitely in for a treat this Saturday. If you have not already, be sure to sign up on DFSbythenumbers.com. The most popular option is that $10 betting tier. With that, you get access to my UFC stats. First, notice on all of my bets, I do have 5 bets already, 12 units on the line as of now, looking to add a couple more big bets. My second max bet of the year is on this card as well. Definitely looking forward to that. My betting article, which will be out later in the week, my full card breakdown and best bet article, which should be out either Tuesday or Wednesday. Basically, I just break down the entire card. I give my confidence ratings. I give my best bet for each and every fight on the entire card. Pretty good article there. People seem to like it. Access to Discord, Hail Mary Parlay. I do a prelim parlay, a main card parlay, just a ton of extra content. Or if you're looking to support me more, that is how you do it right there. And then other than that, I'll be going live Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time after the weigh-ins, and then I'll be putting out some betting content later in the week. I'm going to be doing a best bet, and then I'll also be doing a betting breakdown as well. So make sure you are subscribed to not miss out on that. And other than that, follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. Instagram is DFS by the numbers. If you have any questions, you can hit me up, and I will get back to you shortly after. So 14 fights to break down, and no time to waste. I say we get into it, and let us start with the very first fight of the night. We have Nicolas Dalby going against Claudio Silva. We have Nicolas Dalby, who is 37 years old, 5'11", with a 74.5-inch reach, 19-4-1, and 2-1 in 2 no contests in his last 5 fights. Claudio Silva, he is 39 years old, 5'11", with a 71-inch reach, 14-3, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So there's a theme on this London card, and the theme is everybody, for the most part, is a huge favorite. I think there's like maybe 2. There's 2 fights that are lined, 3 fights that are lined pretty close, and then other than that, we have like massive favorites everywhere, and this is the first one, although the line is coming down a little bit. So Dalby did open up as a minus 280 favorite. He's now minus 242. Claudio Silva opened up plus 240 and is currently plus 207. Claudio Silva at one point was on a 14-fight win streak, and he has dropped the last 2, and there's some red flags with Claudio Silva. The first one being he is 39 years old. He's going to be turning 40 in 2 months, so I don't like that. The other thing I don't like about Claudio Silva is he hasn't fought in a while. It's been 1 year and 1 month. His last loss was against Court McGee. Prior to that, a loss against James Krause. Did not look great in either of those matchups, and the thing with Claudio Silva is, especially at this point of his career, the guy's pretty much just round 1 submission or bust at this point, and he does gas out very bad, and even like towards the end of the first round, he's super tired. I will say he kind of does, push through in the second and third round. He's physically, tired, but he's still able to push through. It's not like he completely gives up in there or nothing like that, but it's still not the best look in the world. And then on the flip side, you got Dalby, who I'm not all that impressed with, but I feel like stylistically, as long as he just survives that first round, he's the much better striker, and it's really not even close. Although I'm not even impressed with Dalby striking. It's just Claudio Silva, just no technique, just winging big shots. He has some power, but that's really about it. So Dalby, just survive the first round, keep it on the feet, and just pick this guy apart for 3 rounds. I think Dalby does win this fight, win it by decision. Dalby not much of a finisher, and Claudio Silva, for what it's worth, although he does have a pretty horrendous gas tank, he is extremely tough. He's never been finished, and I don't think he gets finished here. So give me Nicolas Dalby to win. Nicolas Dalby to win by decision, but the first round could be very interesting, especially if Claudio Silva does get it down to the mat. But, Nicolas Dalby never been submitted, and I think that continues here in this fight. So Dalby by decision. Oh boy. Next we have Mandy Bohm going against Victoria Leonardo. We have Mandy Bohm, who is 32 years old, 5'6", with a 70-inch reach, 7-1 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Victoria Leonardo, 32 years old, 5'5", with a 64-inch reach, 8-4 and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here. And we have Mandy Bohm, who opened up as a -185 favorite, currently -125. Victoria Leonardo opened up +160, and she is currently +105. So the UFC Long Island card got done early. I think it was around 6 o'clock p.m. my time when the card finished. So I was able to actually go and just continue taping all the fights and getting everything done on that Saturday night. And this was the first fight that I taped, and I went through and I watched every single fight available of Mandy Bohm, and I'll be honest, I couldn't find one positive thing to say about her. I'm not sure what she's good at. Her striking is okay. Her grappling is okay. Her wrestling's okay. I mean, I guess the one thing that I like about Mandy Bohm is the fact that she is long, she's lengthy, she is going to have a 6-inch reach advantage. But outside of that, I mean, that's really about it. She's fought pretty much nobody. She made her debut against Ariana Lipsky. She looked horrible. Probably one of the worst performances I've ever seen. I mean, just not a lot of great things to say about Mandy Bohm. And on the flip side, you have Victoria Leonardo, who is 0-2 in the UFC. But, I mean, she made her debut against Manon Fiorot. Her next fight was against Melissa Gatto. She has losses outside the UFC to Miranda Maverick, Aaron Blanchfield. So although I'm not extremely impressed with Leonardo, she has fought the much better competition, and it's not even close. On top of that, there were some things I liked in Leonardo's game. I think she's going to be the physically stronger fighter in this matchup. I think although Mandy Bohm is going to have a big reach advantage, I think the striking could very well be competitive. I just did not like what I saw from Bohm, but I feel like Leonardo can, push Bohm against the cage and potentially take her down. Bohm outside the UFC was taken down, pretty easily, and I like Leonardo's grappling. I feel like Leonardo can be able to take down Bohm, hold down Bohm. I just don't think really either fighter is UFC caliber, but I was disgusted, honestly. Went through there, spent about way too long taping Mandy Bohm, trying to find something that was good, but I couldn't find anything. So give me Leonardo to win. She's on a 2-fight losing streak, but again, look at who she's lost to. I think she uses her physicality out here, goes and grinds out a decision win. My goodness. Can't believe this is a fight, but it is, and I got to make a pick here, and the pick is going to be Victoria Leonardo as an underdog. All right, next we have a real fight. We have Jai Herbert going against Kyle Nelson. They're probably my second favorite fight on the prelims, but this fight is going to be so much fun. We have Jai Herbert, 34 years old, 6'1", with a 77-inch reach, 11-4 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Kyle Nelson, 31 years old, 5'11", with a 71-inch reach, 13-4 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Jai Herbert, big favorite, opened up -250, currently -280. Kyle Nelson opened up +210, and he is currently +240. We have not seen Kyle Nelson in a while. It's been 1 year and 10 months since we have seen Kyle Nelson. So I'll start off by saying this. I think Jai Herbert is extremely, extremely talented. I love this guy's striking. He's very long, very rangy. He's going to have a nice reach advantage in this fight, which I think is really important. A 6-inch reach advantage as well. I think he's a good fighter, but there's some things that are lacking in his game. Offensively, his striking's phenomenal. His power is phenomenal. I like his movement, but defensively, that is where he lacks. He has a pretty poor striking defense thus far in the UFC. It's 45%. That's not good. And then on top of that, this guy's chin is pretty terrible. He's been knocked out 3 times. He's been submitted. He's been finishing all 4 of his losses. So not only is he very hittable, but he's very chinny as well. And guess what Kyle Nelson does? Kyle Nelson throws with a ton of power. He puts everything into his shots. And that is why you do see Kyle Nelson slow down after 5 minutes. This guy's gas tank is not good. So these guys are going to stand and bang until one man falls. I think if anybody goes for takedowns, it's going to be Kyle Nelson. I think that would be a mistake, though, trying to wrestle Jai Herbert. I don't think Kyle Nelson has the gas tank to wrestle Jai Herbert. I think he could do it and maybe have success in the first round, but if he does not get Jai Herbert out of there, on the mat, like he's going to be in trouble in that second and third. I think these guys are going to stand and bang. I like the striking of Herbert offensively. I think he's the more talented fighter by a decent amount, but the striking defense and the chin is just completely scaring me away from even thinking about laying the minus 280 on him. But I'm going to say Jai Herbert does finish Kyle Nelson here, finishes him probably in the first round. If this fight does get out of the first round, it's Herbert all day. I think Kyle Nelson has about a round in him, and he's going to have his opportunities. He really is. Both these guys have a ton of power. Both these guys are extremely hittable. Both these guys have been knocked out a ton. I think someone's going down here. I'll take Jai Herbert to knock out Kyle Nelson to do it in the very first round. This fight should be very exciting for as long as it lasts. All right, next we have Muhammad Mokaev going against Charles Johnson. We have Mokaev, 21 years old, 5'7", with a 70-inch reach, 6-0, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights, obviously. Charles Johnson, 31 years old, 5'9", with a 70.5-inch reach, 11-2, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Let's take a look at the odds here. And Mokaev was the biggest favorite on the card, but now he is not. There's somebody else we'll talk about that is, but Mokaev is open up minus 500. He's currently minus 460. Charles Johnson opened up plus 375, and he is currently plus 360. So, we know what the UFC matchmakers are doing here. I mean, they're not bringing in Charles Johnson into London to build up Charles Johnson. Absolutely not. They're bringing in Charles Johnson to build up a very young, exciting up-and-comer in Muhammad Mokaev, who is 6-0 and then has a long amateur career, like 22, 23 fights as an amateur, undefeated in those as well. They're trying to build up Mokaev here. Of course, the line is extremely wide here, but it's hard to pick against Mokaev in this spot. I will say, though, watching tape on Johnson, he can be taken down. He does throw a ton of kicks, and his kicks can be caught, and he can be taken down that way. But I was actually impressed with him. I went and watched his Brandon Royval fight, which was, I believe, his last loss or one of his last losses. Yeah, Brandon Royval lost a decision about 3 years and 10 months ago. I was really impressed with the toughness of Charles Johnson. This guy has a really good chin on him, and his grappling defense as well. Brandon Royval is a finisher at the UFC level as well, and he was able to survive all those positions against Royval. I thought that was very impressive, but this is a fight where I think Mokaev is going to get this fight down to the mat, obviously, and when he does, I feel like he can control Charles Johnson. I don't think it's going to be easy, though. Like, he's not going to go in there and run through Charles Johnson like he did against Cody Durden. I don't think Charles Johnson is a bum. He's kind of getting priced as if he's a bum in this fight, and he's not. He's actually a really solid, well-rounded fighter, good striking, good grappling defense, especially solid takedown defense. He's a good fighter. It's just, I think Mokaev has all the tools to get this done, and I think he does get this done and gets it done by decision. Again, I was really impressed with the submission defense, the toughness, especially of Charles Johnson. I'm not sure Mokaev will be able to finish him. If he does, that's going to be a huge feather in the cap of Mokaev. I just don't see it. So I like Mokaev to win. I like him to kind of grind it out. I think on the feet, he should have success if Mokaev does pressure. Charles Johnson can be taken down, will be taken down, and I think Mokaev does grind this one out, wins a decision. And I think they just keeps moving on up. I'm 21 years old, about to be 22. I think this guy has a huge ceiling. And we know what the UFC is trying to do here. They're trying to build him up, and I think that is exactly what happens. So give me Muhammad Mokaev to win. Give me Muhammad Mokaev to win by decision. All right, next we have my favorite fight on the prelims. I just cannot wait for this one. We have Jonathan Pearce going against Makwan Amirkhani. We have Jonathan Pearce, 30 years old, 6 foot, with a 71.5-inch reach, 12-4, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Makwan Amirkhani, 33 years old, 5'10", with a 72-inch reach, 17-7. and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here, and Jonathan Pearce is a favorite. Open at minus 185, currently minus 220. Makwan Amirkhani open up plus 160, and he is currently plus 185. So I'm a huge fan of Jonathan Pearce. I like his style. I like his fights. Jonathan Pearce is never in a boring fight. Jonathan Pearce is a guy that takes his cardio and his pace and uses that as a weapon. And which should be interesting in this fight because we have Jonathan Pearce who has an endless gas tank against Makwan Amirkhani, who does slow down after the first round. So pretty good matchmaking here. I think it's going to be a very fun fight. And, Jonathan Pearce, really good wrestler. The striking offensively is okay. Offensively, I like a lot what I see from Jonathan Pearce. It's just defensively, he lacks a lot. He makes a lot of mistakes that I think are going to catch up to him. Maybe not in this fight, potentially, But, going forward, I think he has some holes he needs to patch up. The first one being the striking defense. This guy is content to eat punches with his face. The striking defense is pretty non-existent. He's tough, he's durable, but he is willing to eat a lot more shots. Just very sloppy on the feet at times. And then on the mat, very sloppy as well. And I feel like that can get him in trouble in this fight. I went back and watched pretty much every single fight of Jonathan Pearce since the Contender Series fight, and every single fight since then, he got himself put in a bad spot on the mat. Jacob Rosales had Pearce in a really bad spot on the mat in the first round. Joe Lozon obviously had him in a very bad spot in the first round and finished him. Kai Kamaka had him in a bad spot on the mat in the very first round. We saw Christian Rodriguez having in a really bad spot in that first round, that guillotine. I'm not sure how Jonathan Pearce got out of that one, but even like in the second and third round, Jonathan Pearce was close to getting finished several times in that Christian Rodriguez fight, and Rodriguez took that fight on a couple days' notice. So, Pearce, although I like his style a ton, I like him in general, he leaves a lot of openings on the feet and then on the mat, and that could be a serious problem against Makwan and Amirkhani, whose submission game is no joke. He went out there and submitted Mike Grundy in his last fight in 57 seconds. He submitted Danny Henry in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. He submitted Chris Fishgold. A couple other submission wins in the UFC earlier in his career as well. He's very dangerous on the mat. Went and watched some fights of Makwan, and I guess what I was impressed most of is his wrestling. I mean, this guy's a phenomenal grappler, we know that, but his wrestling really impressed me. And I think he definitely has a wrestling background in Finland, and you can definitely see it because this guy averaging 4.08 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 43% accuracy. So he's definitely able to get it down to the mat. The one knock on Makwan is going to be the cardio, which makes this fight tricky to call because Makwan, although I like his skills in this matchup, the grappling, the wrestling, I feel like this fight is going to go and be on the mat, whether it's Jonathan Pearce getting takedowns, which I think that'd be a mistake, at least early, taking down Makwan here. But I think Makwan could potentially take down Jonathan Pearce early, and if he does that, I think Jonathan Pearce is going to be in some serious trouble. But, Makwan's cardio is not good. That's the one thing. His cardio just falls off a cliff after that first round. He's going to go out here. He's probably going to win the first round. And if he does not finish Jonathan Pearce is going to take over in that second and probably finish him in that second and third round. So it's a tough call. It's a tough fight. But just seeing Jonathan Pearce in so many bad spots, I think I'm going to take Makwan here for the upset to get an early submission. I'm going to say this fight does hit the mat. I'm going to say Makwan does catch Jonathan Pearce in something. Good live betting spot. If Makwan does not finish Pearce in round one, I would live bet Jonathan Pearce. But I'll say Makwan does catch him round one with a round one submission. But this fight is going to be so good. I cannot wait for this one. Nathaniel Wood going against Charles Rosa. We have Nathaniel Wood. He is 28 years old, 5'6", with a 69-inch reach, 17-5 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Charles Rosa, 35 years old, 5'9", with a 69-inch reach, 14-7 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and this is the biggest favorite on the entire card in Nathaniel Wood. We have Wood opening up minus 350. He is currently minus 600. Rosa opening up plus 285. And he is currently plus 450. Can't really argue that line. I mean, it's really tough to find a path to victory for Charles Rosa here. So I guess we'll start with Nathaniel Wood is coming up a weight class here. He's coming up to featherweight. Typically does fight at 135. I think he might have had, a couple fights at 145 earlier in his career. I know I saw a catchweight there at 140. In his last fight against Casey Kenny was a catchweight there. But Wood is coming up a weight class here, so that is something to mention, I suppose. And then Wood will be the smaller fighter in this fight. Charles Rosa is going to have a 3-inch height advantage, but the same reach there. But this is a fight where I feel like Wood on the feet, it's Wood all day. It's not even close. Wood is such a great striker. He's going to have a massive speed advantage, a massive volume advantage, just an advantage in general on the feet. Charles Rosa is going to probably try to get this down to the mat. I think that's going to be easier said than done. Nathaniel Wood, very good takedown defense, and if Wood, for some reason, which there's no reason for him to do this, but I mean, the blueprint is out on how to beat Charles Rosa. You take this guy down and you lay on him for 15 minutes. We saw multiple guys do that. We saw Bryce Mitchell go out there and rack up a ton of control time against Charles Rosa. We saw TJ Brown, which is a terrible look, in his last fight. TJ Brown went out there, racked up 6 takedowns, controlled Charles Rosa. Damon Jackson racked up 6 takedowns, controlled Charles Rosa. We even saw Justin James go out there, get 2 takedowns, and get some control time against Charles Rosa. Derek Minner, 4 takedowns, and controlled Charles Rosa. So like his last 4 or 5 fights, you take this guy down, you control him. I think that's on the table there for Nathaniel Wood if he does choose to go that route. But, simply just keep it on the feet, outstrike Charles Rosa, easy night in the office. So I think, Nathaniel Wood is the much better fighter, especially at this point of their career. He's only 28. Charles Rosa, 35 years old. Charles Rosa on a 2-fight losing streak. I feel like, Wood has him covered everywhere. Whether it's on the feet, I feel like it's Wood by a mile. And then on the mat, you could take him down, stay out of submissions, and ultimately win decision there. So I think Rosa, his path to victory is probably a submission off his back, but I don't think it's all that likely. So give me Nathaniel Wood to win by decision here. Charles Rosa, for what it's worth, he is very tough. 7 losses, only 1 by knockout. And even that knockout loss, he wasn't completely out. He's extremely tough to submit. TJ Brown, Damon Jackson, Derek Minner, and Bryce Mitchell were all not able to submit Charles Rosa. I don't think Nathaniel Wood does here, but I like Nathaniel Wood to win, and I like Nathaniel Wood to win by decision quite a bit. All right. Next, we have Marc Diakiese going against Damir Hadzovic. We have Diakiese, 29 years old, 5'10", with a 73-inch reach, 15-5 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Damir Hadzovic, he is 35 years old, 5'9", with a 70-inch reach, 14-6 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and another big favorite here in Marc Diakiese. Opened up -300, currently -340. And Damir Hadzovic opened up +250. He is currently +280. And once again, I cannot argue these odds. I think this is a phenomenal spot for Marc Diakiese here. And, we saw Marc Diakiese in his last fight against Slaviclaus, Borshev. He went out there, he took down Borshev 11 times, attempted 18 takedowns. He racked up 12 minutes and 24 seconds of control time. The reason I feel like Diakiese should be this big of a favorite is because, for one, I actually like Diakiese and favor him on the feet here, but two, the path is there. I mean, we saw in his last fight, he's able to go out there and get takedowns and control his opponent. Damir Hadzovic has some of the worst takedown defense you'll ever see. Damir Hadzovic has a 37% takedown defense. This guy just cannot stuff a takedown. It's easy. He just folds when you try to take him down. Marc Diakiese should have no problem going out there and implementing the same exact game plan. I mean, if he does that, it's going to look so easy. It might even look easier than the Slava fight. His takedown defense is so bad, Hadzovic. He got taken down twice by Medeiros, got taken down by Mokaev, got taken down 6 times by Giagos, got taken down 9 times by Alan Patrick, got taken down by Held 4 times. I mean, this guy can absolutely be taken down. He can be controlled, and even worse, his cardio is suspect as well. Hadzovic does slow down a lot as the fight goes on. Diakiese showed that he can go out there, he can wrestle for 15 minutes, he can attempt 18 takedowns, get 11 of them. Marc Diakiese, he's good all around. He's well-rounded. I feel like he's the more well-rounded fighter in this fight. So, I feel like on the feet, I still favor Diakiese, but the path to victory is there all day. Just take this guy down, wear on him, get this fight extended, and I think those takedowns and control times will come easier and easier as the fight goes on. So I like Diakiese here quite a bit, and I like Diakiese to once again win by decision. All right, here we go. We have the featured prelim of the card here. And yeah, this should be a very fun fight. It's a fight that did get added on short notice here. But we have Mason Jones going against Ludovit Klein. We have Mason Jones, 27 years old, 5'10", with a 72-inch reach, 11-1 and 3-1 and 1 no contest in his last 5 fights. Ludovit Klein, 27 years old, 5'7", with a 72-inch reach, 18-4 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So we'll take a look at the odds here, and they're fairly new here. But Jones opened up -325. He's currently -345, and Ludovit Klein opened up +275. He's currently +285. So, so this fight is on short notice for Mason Jones here. Ludovit Klein was supposed to fight at UFC 277 against Ignacio Bahamondes. Bahamondes had visa issues, therefore they put this matchup together on the London card, kind of short notice here. But Ludovit Klein, typically throughout his career has fought at 145. In his last fight against, I believe it was Devontae Smith, it was at lightweight, so he's going to be no stranger to lightweight here, but he is going to be undersized. Mason Jones is going to have a 3-inch height advantage here. I was actually, really high on Ludovit Klein coming into the UFC. Like, this was a guy that you go watch tape on this guy outside the UFC. It's just head kick after head kick after head kick. I swear I watched like 4 or 5 fights in a row. Head kick knockout. This guy's head kick's very good. He's very powerful. Then he comes to the UFC and it's like, I don't know. He just doesn't look great to me. I mean, getting broken by and finished by Nate Landwehr just was not the great look. And, I see a lot of holes in his game. I see the cardio being a big concern for me on the Ludovit Klein side. I see the output being a huge concern for me. And that's going to be a big, problem in this fight against Mason Jones, who has great cardio and especially has great output. Mason Jones is throwing a ton of strikes per minute, whereas Ludovit Klein is not. He's just not. So Ludovit Klein's path to victory here is a first-round knockout. Could it happen? Of course it could. This is a fight. Anything can happen. And Mason Jones is very hittable. I guess the one thing I don't like about Mason Jones is the fact that he doesn't have any striking defense. He does rely on his chin. And if Ludovit Klein lands that head kick, it could potentially put Mason Jones out. Jones has shown some great toughness, but if the right shot lands, he definitely could go down. But, outside of that, Mason Jones should win this fight, more often than not. I think output's going to be key. I think pressure is going to be key. And I did not like how Ludovit Klein dealt with the pressure of Nate Landwehr. Landwehr was able to break him. I think Mason Jones does the same thing here. I think Mason Jones will be able to mix in takedowns here. Mason Jones, a black belt in BJJ, I believe black belt in judo. This guy is just extremely well-rounded, has a ton of power, good finishing ability as well. And I think he does kind of break Ludovit Klein and wins in that second and third round. I'll say Mason Jones, I'll say third round submission for Mason Jones here. I don't think Klein has the cardio to go at this pace especially and do it for 3 rounds. I think Klein's kind of round 1 knockout or bust. And I think it's going to be pretty tough to knock out a guy like Mason Jones. So give me Mason Jones to win. I'll say Mason Jones by 3rd round submission. All right, here we have the main card. And yeah, this main card, it feels like it's a pay-per-view. I mean, this main card's stacked. And we're starting with this fight. And I know exactly what the matchmakers are doing because this is one of the best fights on the entire card. We have Volkan Oezdemir going against Paul Craig. We have Oezdemir, who is 32 years old, 6'2", with a 75-inch reach, 17-6. And 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Paul Craig, 34 years old, 6'3", with a 76-inch reach, 16-4-1, and 4-0-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and Volkan Oezdemir is a favorite. Open at -200, currently -170. Paul Craig open up +170, is currently +145, and I'll start off by saying I think this is a nightmare, horrible matchup for one Paul Craig. But with that said, he's a live dog against anybody. You put him in there against anybody in the division, anybody in the light heavyweight division, he is a live dog, no matter how terrible and awful the matchup is. I mean, this is a guy in Paul Craig who finished guys like Jamal Hill. He finished, Mokaev Ankalaev, guys like that. You can never count out Paul Craig. He's always a live dog. But this is a horrendous matchup for him against Volkan Oezdemir. Oezdemir, elite takedown defense in the division. You take a look at Oezdemir, who's he losing to? Mokaev Ankalaev his last time out. No shame in that. Jiří Procházka, 2 fights ago, no shame in that. He's losing to the best of the best. He had that loss against Dominic Reyes as well. Anthony Smith, Daniel Cormier, this is a guy that's losing to the elite of the division. We know what Paul Craig's going to do. Paul Craig, I don't know if he'll even try to take down Volkan here. He's going to probably pull guard, and it's really up to Volkan whether he wants to win this fight or not. Is Volkan going to disengage with Paul Craig on the mat, or is he going to want to test his grappling with Paul Craig and end up getting submitted like Nikita Krylov did in his last fight? Krylov was beating the crap out of Paul Craig on the mat. I feel like he did knock him out at one point. He was out, and then Craig got him in that triangle. Jamal Hill was content to be on the mat against Paul Craig, and the list goes on and on. Kennedy Nzechukwu a couple years ago, Ankalaev a couple years ago. That's how Paul Craig wins. He's going to take advantage of your mistakes. What I like about Volkan Oezdemir is the fact that he has no reason to grapple. He literally has no reason to grapple here, whereas Krylov's a great grappler. He was content to be on the mat with Paul Craig. And look what happened. Jamal Hill was talking in an interview prior to the fight saying that he was the better grappler than Paul Craig and wanted to show off his grappling, which was weird. But, Oezdemir is not going to want to grapple with Paul Craig. If he does, I'd be shocked, but that's not Oezdemir's game. Oezdemir is going to go out there. He's going to come forward. He's going to knock you out. This guy has a ton of power in his hands. And I feel like in terms of the striking, Paul Craig's going to be at the disadvantage pretty much in every fight, especially up here, in the top 15. He's going to be at a disadvantage in the striking. Oezdemir is going to have a massive striking advantage and a power advantage. Paul Craig, very hittable. I question the chin of Paul Craig as well. I feel like Oezdemir should go out here and knock out Paul Craig. But, it's hard to pick Paul Craig because his path to victory is literally Oezdemir making a drastic mistake that would make no sense. Like Oezdemir knocks down Craig and goes in his guard. That could happen. Paul Craig pulls guard and Oezdemir follows him here. It's hard to pick a guy in Paul Craig where his path to victory is literally a Hail Mary. But with that said, he just keeps on doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. So there's going to be a lot of people on Paul Craig this week. I get it. Paul Craig is probably one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. I love this guy. But this is a terrible matchup for him. I think Oezdemir knocks him out in the first round. We saw who was it? Alonzo Menefield knocked Paul Craig out in the first round. We saw Tyson Pedro knock out Craig in the first round. We saw Khalil Roundtree knock out Paul Craig in the first round. It's up to Oezdemir whether he wants to win this fight. I mean, does he want to mess around in the guard of Paul Craig or does he want to knock him out? Oezdemir has no intention of grappling here. So give me Oezdemir to win. I think Oezdemir does knock out Paul Craig in the very first round. But again, you can't completely count out a guy like Paul Craig here. But we'll see what happens. Give me Oezdemir to win. Oezdemir to win by first round knockout. All right, next we have Molly McCann going against Hannah Goldy. We have Molly McCann, who is 32 years old, 5'4", with a 62-inch reach, 12-4, and 30-2 in her last 5 fights. Hannah Goldy is 30 years old, 5'4", with a 61-inch reach, 6-2, and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Molly McCann is a huge favorite. Opened up -200. She is currently -400. Hannah Goldy opened up +170, and she is currently +300. So big favorite here, Molly McCann, and yeah, too big of a favorite. Is she going to win the fight? She is, but it is going to look a lot closer than the line does indicate here. Molly McCann should not be -400 against anybody in the UFC, but you can't pick against her in this fight. She's going to have the crowd behind her here. I think that's huge. We saw in her last fight where the crowd was going crazy. She was going crazy in there. I mean, the judges are going to eat that up. So if this goes to decision, Molly McCann's not losing it, whether it's a close fight, whether Goldy maybe even slightly edge it out. Molly McCann is not losing a decision in London here. It's just not going to happen. Could Hannah Goldy submit Molly McCann? I don't think so. Could Hannah Goldy knock her out? I don't think so. I think this fight does go to decision, and you have to favor Molly McCann. Striking could be close. I do like the volume and output of Hannah Goldy. Molly McCann brings a lot of volume in her own right, so the striking very well could be close here. It's just the crowd reaction is going to be all for Molly McCann. She's going to have the crowd on her side. The judges are going to look at that, and I think Molly McCann also has a path to victory to go and get takedowns here. Molly McCann does go for a lot of takedowns in her career. She's not had a ton of success. I believe she has double check on the number. I think it's like a 36% takedown accuracy, but when you take a look and see who Molly McCann is trying to take down, you'll kind of see why. Yeah, 36% accuracy. She tried to take down Luana Carolina. She took her down both times, which is very impressive because Luana Carolina does have a good takedown defense. She tried to take down Ji Young Kim a bunch of times. She was 2 for 3. That's pretty impressive. Kim has solid takedown defense. She tried to take down Tyler Santos 4 times, 0 for 4, no shame in that. Other than that, Priscilla Cachoeira took her down a couple times, Lipsky a couple times, and Belbita a couple times as well. So yeah, she definitely can go for takedowns here. And I think she will in this fight as well. Hannah Goldy, on paper, does have a 50% takedown defense. Emily Quitmeyer did take her down twice. Not a good look. I feel like Molly McCann can mix in some takedowns as well. So, yep, I mean, I'm not picking against Molly McCann here. Is the line wide? Absolutely. But is she going to win? I would be fairly surprised if she didn't. So, give me Molly McCann to win. Give me Molly McCann to win by decision. All right, next we have, this is going to be my 1-800 Gambler fight on the card. And As you're probably thinking, why is not the Mandy Bohm Leonardo fight my 1-800 gambler? Well, we'll talk about that later in the week. But yeah, this is my 1-800 gambler fight of the night. I am not betting on this fight. This fight is probably the toughest fight to call on the entire card for me. Krylov is 30 years old, 6'3", with a 77.5-inch reach. There we go. He's 27-9 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Alexander Gustafsson, he is 35 years old, 6'5", with a 79-inch reach, 18-7. And 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. And Krylov opened up -185, currently -180. Gustafsson opened up +160. He is currently +155. The reason I cannot be confident in this fight is the red flags with Gustafsson, the question marks with Gustafsson. Like, he's taken a big layoff. We have not seen Alexander Gustafsson in 1 year in 11 months. Prior to that, 3 years and a month ago against Anthony Smith in a fight he was winning up until Smith got him down and ended up choking him out. And then prior to that was John Jones 3 years and 6 months ago. And the last time we saw Alexander Gustafsson get his hand raised was 5 years ago against Glover Teixeira. 5 years ago. So not only has he not won in 5 years, but we've not seen him in 2 years. So, if this was, Gustafsson in his prime, a couple years ago, I mean, this would be Gustafsson all day. It's just, I don't know if we have that same Alexander Gustafsson. I went back and watched some of his fights earlier in his career, and this guy's a beast. This guy is very, very good. He had a competitive fight against John Jones in the first fight. The second fight was obviously not competitive, but this guy's good. His striking's good. His takedown defense is phenomenal as well. Just really, really, really well-rounded. But I don't know if it's the same Alexander Gustafsson as a couple years ago. I mean, he looked okay in the Smith fight up until he got submitted. He looked horrible against Verdun, but that was at heavyweight. And again, we have not seen him in 2 years. So, yeah, this is a mess. At least with Krylov, like, he has been more active. I know he got submitted by Paul Craig. Showed horrible fight IQ in that fight, my goodness. But I feel like the striking should be competitive. If we do get the best version, I do favor Gustafsson the striking. I don't know if we have the best version of Gustafsson, though. Krylov striking solid, but I don't know. I'm gonna say, maybe wait for weigh-ins on this one. If Gustafsson shows up, he looks good, he looks motivated. Maybe it's worth a dog shot on him, but I just can't trust him. I really can't. So I'm going to take Krylov here. I don't feel great about it because I feel like if Gustafsson does show up motivated and ready to go, like, this is such a winnable fight. It's just, I don't know his motivation for this one. So I'm going to say Krylov does take down Gustafsson. Krylov is very dangerous on the mat, ground and pound, submission game. He's like a 94% finish rate, something crazy like that. I'll say he does finish Gustafsson, but I do not feel good about this one. It's a really tough fight to call, just with the question marks, with the red flags. Do I want to pick a more active, more dangerous Krylov, or do I want to pick, Gustafsson, who's not won a fight in 5 years on a 3-fight skid and has not fought in 2? So give me Krylov for those reasons. Give me Krylov to win. I will say like second round ground and pound or second round submission, something like that. But I think he does finish Gustafsson if he does win. All right, next we have the People's Main Event. I cannot wait for this fight. Probably my favorite fight on the entire card. We have Paddy Pimblett going against Jordan Leavitt. We have Paddy Pimblett, 27 years old, 5'10", with a 73-inch reach, 18-3 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We have Jordan Leavitt, 27 years old, 5'9", with a 71-inch reach, 10-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here, and Paddy is a favorite, but honestly not as big as a favorite as I expected. Paddy Pimblett opened up -400, currently -240. Jordan Leavitt opened up +330, currently +205. So there is some love out there for Jordan Leavitt, because I thought with all the hype on Paddy Pimblett, he'd be a much bigger favorite than this. But no, it's a little bit closer than I thought. But yeah, I went through. I watched Pimblett's last couple losses. I watched him from a few years ago, and you compare his fights from a few years ago to now, and there is a big difference in Paddy Pimblett. This guy has made a ton of improvements. In his striking, especially. His striking's gotten so much better. I think he looks a lot different physically. Now he looks, physically stronger as well in there. And, the power has improved as well. He has a lot of power in his shots as well now. And he's always had that grappling. The grappling's always been, his bread and butter. The offensive wrestling's solid. And just now it seems like he's putting it all together now, which can be very dangerous. And, Jordan Leavitt is a guy that I don't know, kind of one-dimensional. He showed off something something in his last fight. I don't know what it was, but he was able to, I guess, win. The judges thought he won the striking exchanges. He went out there and he landed, what was it? He landed 52 leg kicks. 52 leg kicks. I mean, that's not gonna fly in this matchup. It's just not. I mean, Paddy Pimblett's going to have the much better striking, and it's not even close. And I don't even think Paddy Pimblett has the best striking in the world. He doesn't, but he's going to have a striking advantage in this fight, and I think on the feet is really going to hurt Jordan Leavitt here. And then on the mat, like I wanted to see how Paddy's takedown defense was, and honestly, at least a couple years ago, it did not look great. He did seem to get taken down fairly easily, and he was kind of content to get taken down. So I guess that was one thing I did not like with Paddy Pimblett. And Jordan Leavitt, although I don't think his wrestling is the best, could he go out here and take down Paddy Pimblett and win that first round? I think he could. Jordan Leavitt's a very smart fighter. I think his top control is pretty good, and at least early on in that first round, I think he could potentially have success against Paddy Pimblett. It's just, Jordan Leavitt does slow down as the fight goes on. He slowed down a ton in that Claudio Puelles fight, which was a fast-paced fight with a lot of grappling exchanges, and he even slows down like some other fights against Trey Ogden. He was slowing down, but that was such a slow-paced fight. Like this fight against Paddy Pimblett is going to be extremely fast-paced, and a pace I don't think Jordan Leavitt is going to be able to keep up with. So I'm just really struggling to find a path to victory here for Jordan Leavitt. Is he going to submit the black belt and Paddy Pimblett in the first round? I don't think so. Is he going to take down Paddy Pimblett, control him in 2 out of the 3 rounds and win a decision? I don't think so. I think Paddy has him covered here, on the feet especially. But even Paddy, I think, can take him down. And then especially in that second and third round when Leavitt's tired, I feel like Paddy's going to, have success, down the stretch. I don't think Leavitt's going to be able to keep up with the pace of Paddy Pimblett. So, yeah, I like Paddy here quite a bit, honestly. Yeah, I like Paddy quite a bit. I'm just trying, he can win by knockout, he can win by submission, he can win by decision. I'm gonna say knockout on the feet's very live, but if this fight goes late and Leavitt's tired, a submission would not shock me at all. So I'm gonna say knockout though. I'm gonna say he knocks out Jordan Leavitt. I'm gonna say he knocks him out in that second or third round. I'm gonna say he puts it on him in the feet, and I'm gonna say Leavitt just won't have a backup plan, especially when he's tired there. So give me Paddy Pimblett to win. Second round knockout. I think cardio is going to be key. Striking is going to be key, and I don't think Leavitt has either of the two. So give me Paddy Pimblett by KO here. All right, next we have Jack Hermansson going against Chris Curtis. We have Chris Curtis, 35 years old, 5'10", with a 75-inch reach, 29-8 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Jack Hermansson, 34 years old, 6'1", with a 77.5-inch reach, 22-7 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and I believe this is the closest line fight on the entire card, and it is Chris Curtis opened up plus 140, currently minus 118. Jack Hermansson opened up minus 160. He is currently minus 102. So, Chris Curtis is stepping in on short notice. As we know, it was supposed to be Jack Hermansson going against Darren Till, and Curtis is going to be coming up a weight class here, fighting at middleweight. He typically does fight at 170, but in the UFC, he's fought at middleweight all 3 times. So it's going to be no stranger to middleweight here. He'll be fine, but he will be undersized in this matchup. Jack Hermansson is pretty big for the division, and Hermansson is going to have a 3-inch height advantage and a 2.5-inch reach advantage as well. Chris Curtis showed off some phenomenal takedown defense in his last fight against Rodolfo Vieira. Rodolfo Vieira went out there and completed 0 of 20 takedowns. And big improvements from Chris Curtis with his takedown defense. You go and watch some of his fights outside the UFC, and he is getting taken down. I don't like what I see on the mat with Chris Curtis, but looks like he patched that takedown defense up. He's training with guys like Sean Strickland, guys like Brad Tavares, getting some working with those guys. Those guys both have elite takedown defense. And we even saw Sean Strickland go and beat Jack Hermansson, stuffing I think 7 takedowns of Jack Hermansson as well. So, on the feet, I favor Chris Curtis. I like the volume, the combinations of Chris Curtis as well, but I think Jack Hermansson's striking is extremely underrated. It doesn't get enough appreciation, but, Chris Curtis should have the striking advantage here. And if Jack Hermansson can't get down Chris Curtis, Curtis probably edges out a competitive but clear decision here. If Jack Hermansson is to get Chris Curtis down, Chris Curtis is probably in a world of trouble. Jack Hermansson's ground and pound is no joke at all. Jack Hermansson's submission game is no joke at all. It's just, can he get Chris Curtis down? I don't know. I mean, you take a look at Jack Hermansson, and who is Jack Hermansson losing to? And the answer to that is the best of the best. Jack Hermansson lost to Sean Strickland, who's top 5 in the division, lost to Marvin Vettori, lost to Jared Cannonier. He was losing to guys like that, back in the day, like 5 years ago against Thiago Santos, Cesar Ferreira, back in 2016. So he's not losing to crappy guys. I mean, he's losing to very legit guys here, and I think Curtis is very good as well, but Curtis is taking a massive step up, going from somebody like Rodolfo Vieira, who has 1 round of gas, going from a guy like Brendan Allen, a guy like Phil Hawes, who I'm high on but doesn't have a chin. It's a big step up, but stylistically, I feel like Chris Curtis has the tools to stuff the takedowns, keep it on the feet, and outpoint Jack Hermansson in a close and competitive decision. So I'm going to go with Chris Curtis for the win here. I'm going to go with Chris Curtis to win by decision. I think the striking on the feet is going to be a lot closer than people think. Like, even against Rodolfo Vieira, it was, clear that it was Chris Curtis, but the striking numbers were close. Like, Vieira did outland Curtis 19-17 in the first round. The second round was Curtis 46-41 in favor of him. So it was like slightly competitive, at least early on, but Vieira doesn't have a gas tank. Like, Hermansson's striking's good, but Curtis is the better striker. Give me Chris Curtis to win here by decision. Really curious to see where the line goes. I thought it'd be more so in favor of Chris Curtis, but looks like it's close and closing up as well. So we'll see where the line goes, but give me Chris Curtis to win by decision here. All right, next we have the main event here. Yeah, cannot wait for this main event. This is such a tough fight to call. I really like both these guys a ton. Very high on both these guys, and rightfully so. We have Tom Aspinall, 29 years old, 6'5", with a 78-inch reach, 12-2, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Curtis Blaydes, 31 years old, 6'4", with an 80-inch reach, 16-3, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We have Tom Aspinall opening up plus 100. He's now minus 130. Curtis Blaydes opening up minus 120. He's currently plus 110. This fight is tough. I feel like Curtis Blaydes is the toughest matchup for anybody in the division. I feel like he's the number one toughest matchup, honestly. But I think I might pick Tom Aspinall in this fight, and it definitely could be a mistake. There's not a lot of footage out there on Tom Aspinall's takedown defense. I mean, he stuffed a couple here and there in the UFC. To really see Tom Aspinall's takedown defense, you have to go watch a fight from like 7-8 years ago. So it's been a while. But he did get taken down easily. I actually did like what I saw from him off his back 7-8 years ago again. So yes, he's made a ton of improvements. But he seemed to be active off his back. He seems to be able to have a good get-up game here, and he's definitely going to need that. Tom Aspinall, of course, is a black belt in BJJ. I think that's key. I don't know. It's a tough match. There's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of unknowns about Tom Aspinall's takedown defense. How does it look now? It's definitely improved. How's it going to hold up against Curtis Blaydes? How's his get-up game going to look against Curtis Blaydes? How's Tom Aspinall going to look off his back? Because I think Curtis Blaydes will be able to take down Tom Aspinall. There's really no doubt in my mind about that. It just will be able to, control a guy like Tom Aspinall, who is a good grappler, black belt. Because you take a look at Curtis Blaydes and some other guys he's been facing and taking down, like Rosenstruck has no get-up game, or no ground game. Volkov doesn't really have a ground game. Shamil obviously doesn't have a ground game. Justin Willis, just no ground game. Marc Hunt, no. I don't know. I mean, this is Alexei Oleinik has a good ground game, and Blaydes is able to take him down, but I don't know. This is probably the toughest fight on the card to call for me. This fight, the Krylov fight, just tough because I feel like Curtis Blaydes can absolutely win this fight. It's just I feel like Tom Aspinall is going to give him problems. Like on the feet, it's going to be Tom Aspinall all day. Although I think Curtis Blaydes' striking has improved a ton, and it's very good. It's just Tom Aspinall is going to be the much better striker. He has a ton of power. He's going to be much faster as well. Curtis Blaydes is not going to want to mess around on the feet here, and he could get caught on the feet if it does happen. But even on the mat, I feel like Tom Aspinall could work his way back up. maybe, I don't know, submit. I don't think he's going to submit Curtis Blaydes off his back, nothing like that, but maybe reverse sweep, get on top. And, what happens if Tom Aspinall takes down Curtis Blaydes? We saw Tom Aspinall go out there and, land 2 very nice takedowns against Alexander Volkov. Why can't Tom Aspinall take down Curtis Blaydes, get on top? Tom Aspinall's ground and pound's vicious. He has that black belt. Curtis Blaydes on paper has a 33% takedown defense, and most of that is because nobody's really trying to take him down. But when guys have tried to take him down, they were successful. So I think I'm going to take a shot here in Tom Aspinall. And it sounds so stupid saying taking a shot because he's the favorite. But, I'm going to go with Tom Aspinall to get this done. I'm going to say Tom Aspinall does win this fight and win it by knockout. I think he will definitely get some opportunities to finish. But this is such a close fight. I have no really strong lean one way or another, but I will take Aspinall to get it done. But this is a tough matchup, a big step up. But I'm going to say Aspinall is the real deal. I'm going to say he does get this finish. And I'm going to say he keeps moving up the rankings and eventually fights for a title at some point. And it's crazy. Like, he's only 29 years old. Both these guys are actually very young for heavyweight. But I do think at some point, Tom Aspinall will be fighting for a title. I think this guy is extremely well-rounded. The grappling. We've seen some wrestling as well. The striking especially, the danger factor. I think Tom Aspinall is legit. Tough matchup, but I'll pick him. I'll pick him to win by knockout. I'll say Tom Aspinall to win by first round knockout. And those are the picks, guys. Be sure to, again, comment the significant strikes for the main event. Curtis Blaydes, Tom Aspinall. How many significant strikes do you think they're going to combine for? Be sure to sign up on dfsbythenumbers.com. Have a ton of content, already a ton of bets posted. Going to be getting my articles done and out pretty soon here. And then other than that, live stream Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you stay tuned for some betting content later in the week. Can't wait to talk about the action I have for this card. And then follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. Hit me up if you have any questions or just want to chat. So that's about it, guys. Leave a like on your way out, subscribe, all the good stuff. And best of luck for UFC London. See you guys.